Good morning, Sisters for Selfcare. It is October the 15th. My name is Terry Jackson, your lifestyle and wellness coach, and I'm so grateful for God to order my steps to continue to press forward and empower women to value their self-care and honor their self-worth. This call takes place every Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, usually for 15 minutes, sometimes at the most 30. But just know that you are welcome to the call, no obligations. It's free, 15 minutes of wellness with me. So if you could text the letter S as in Sam, the letter 4, the number 4, and the letter S for self-care to the number 55469, you'll always get updates, empowering text messages, etc. about Sisters for Self-Care. So this morning we're going to start with the word, and the word for the day is challenges. The word for the day is challenges. It says, be strong and courageous and do the work. Don't be afraid and discouraged, for the Lord God, my God, is with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. He will see to it that all the work is finished and finished correctly. 1 Chronicles 28:20. Regardless of the size of the challenge, you have God working in you that is sufficient to help you finish and finish well any work you have before you. God doesn't call you to a task without helping you see it through to completion. Amen. He promises to provide everything you need. Everything you need. And so today, you guys, in this entire month, we are really blasting out the awareness of breast cancer awareness as well as domestic violence. Now, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is also in the month of October, and so much is put on breast cancer, not to discount it, and little is done with the domestic violence, and I'm saying it nationally. I think in our communities and locally it's enforced. But Sisters for Self-Care is going to put it on the map. We're going to forever, ever talk about the challenges, the circumstances, and the diseases that happen in our communities, and mostly for women. I'm very passionate about Sisters for Self-Care. This came about 4 years ago, close to New Year's Eve. God said, if you don't do it, I'm going to give it to somebody else. And so for 4 years, for 3 years, we've been going really strong with this call with Sisters for Self-Care, and we focus on 4 things. So everybody says, what's the number 4 about? The number 4 is any woman that's gone through any type of disease, domestic violence, divorce, or depression, is what we do to empower them to get through, to cope, to move forward to another level. And that can be emotionally, spiritually, financially, having better relationships, just moving forward. So that's what we stand for Sisters for Self-Care. And before we get started with our guest this morning, I did want to read from my book given to me by Minister Charlene Browning, Jesus Calling. This is a great book by Sarah Young. Some of you may already have the devotional book, but I just say gift it to somebody because it means so much more when it's gifted. And I just want to say, Minister Charlene, you have truly planted a seed in my soul by giving me this book. I mean, it's absolutely, positively great. So today is October the 15th. Can't believe we're in the 4th quarter of the year already. And pretty soon we'll be celebrating the holidays. It says, try to stay conscious of me as you go step by step through this day. My presence with you is both a promise and a protection. My final statement just before I ascended into heaven was, surely I am with you always. That promise was for all of my followers without exception. The promise of my presence is a powerful protection. As you journey through your life, there are numerous pitfalls along the way. Many voices clamor for your attention, enticing you to go their way. A few steps away from your true path are pits of self-pity and despair, plateaus of pride and self-will. If you take your eyes off of me and follow another's way, you are in a grave of danger. Even well-meaning friends can lead you astray if you let them usurp my place in your life. The way to stay on the path of life is to keep your focus on me. Awareness of my presence is your best protection. That's from Matthew 28:20 and Hebrews 12:1-2. Domestic violence. Wow. Many of you on this call have probably experienced it in some shape, way, or form, and maybe have discounted it and didn't think it was really an act of domestic violence. But what I want to share with you is this. Nearly 20 people per minute are victims of physical violence by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner within their lifetime. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men have experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men have experienced stalking, victimization. A lot of people don't realize it, but stalking is a form of domestic violence, and there are a lot of people being stalked on social media. That is a form of domestic violence. Unfortunately, during the lifetime in which someone is stalked or physically abused, it's usually someone who is close to them, and they're usually severely harmed or killed. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide. In domestic violence homicides, women are 6 times more likely to be killed when there is a gun in the house. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crimes. And intimate partner violence is most common among the women of ages 18 to 24. So why does this matter? Because it's an epidemic affecting our community every single minute of the day. It affects people regardless of their age, their economic status, their sexual orientation, their race, their religion. It's affecting our community. There are several hotlines and communities all over the country that are taking a stand of domestic violence. And most people say, you know, what is it? What can define it? It can't be everything, Terry. It can't be everything. Well, let me tell you what it is. Willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or abusive behavior as a part of systematic pattern of power and control perpetuated by one intimate partner against another. It includes physical violence, sexual violence, threats, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. This frequency and severity of domestic violence can vary dramatically. So let's speak out. The guest that I have on the call with us this morning is a woman that I absolutely am getting to know. After reading about her, I have so much more respect for her than I did. You never know who you're sitting next to or who you're in business with or who's around you. You know, you see their face or you may read something that they posted on social media. You may be friends on Facebook, but do you really know your friends? Or do you really know your associates? I'm talking about Dima Hendricks. At the age of 6 months, Dima was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia, and since then there has been a constant struggle to live a normal life for her. Sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disorder. If you all don't know, it affects the red blood cells. And Dima has taken on her wellness crusade journey and making that better and standing out and sharing how to cope with sickle cell anemia. But Dima's life is often revolves around pain, hospital visits, and blood transfusions. But during her college years, she found it very difficult dealing with the lack of sickle cell awareness that was evident in her school. And due to the lack of information that many people have about sickle cell anemia, Dima found herself struggling to maintain her health while meeting her academic expectations. In the face of the adversity, Dima decided to complete in the Miss Black Massachusetts pageant system, and she won. We have Miss Black Massachusetts on the line with us. And during her reign, she was an advocate for the Heart Truth Campaign, the American Heart Stroke Association. She's been a board member, of course, for the Sickle Cell Association. And today she's happily married and has 2 handsome boys. And that's the Dima Hendricks that was I knew as a friend on Facebook, and also loves to dance. We are truly passionate about dancing and dancing in our passion. But at the age of 12, the question, try to get through this. At the age of 12, Dima experienced something that no 12-year-old that you can imagine would absolutely experience. And we're going to give her a chance to share her story. And I just want to read something from you. It was in the newspaper when she was 12 years young. And as I pull it up here, those of you who are on the call that are victims of domestic violence or know someone of domestic violence, your heart gets kind of starts palpitating, and it's just something that we just have to do something about. And we are, as Sisters for Self-Care, helping people cope and get through and move to the next level. I'm just going to read a little insert, and then, Dima, I'm going to ask you a few questions. It says, Stracker, I can't pronounce correctly, Straker, thank you. Straker's 12-year-old daughter, I just lost it, let's see. My eyes are filled with water, just so you all know. Straker's 12-year-old daughter found the body of her mother, Cleopatra Cousins Straker, in the basement of the family's Berry Street home. Tuesday afternoon, Cousin Straker, whose homicide detectives said had been shot multiple times in the head and torso and had been missing since Sunday. Police issued an arrest warrant Tuesday night for Straker on 3 counts of rape of a child and 1 count of incident assault and battery on a child, investigators said. One detective close to the rape case said police are routinely discouraged by Martin's office from making arrests until prosecutors can obtain indictments in order to have a big stick to hit the guy over the head with, so they'll get a guilty plea without going to trial. I'm just reading a little excerpt. Cousin Straker, who was born in Jamaica, had lived in Meeting House Hill neighborhood for many years, neighbors said. Numerous snapshots of church and school activities make clear that she was a smiling presence in the neighborhood activities. Neighbors said that they were mystified late Tuesday afternoon when police cars pulled up to a little brown house at the corner of Berry and Richfield Street. Aldea Sterling said her son stopped playing basketball and came inside, and they looked out the window together. I never thought it could be this person, said Sterling in Spanish. On the street, she was always a big smile. And hi, how you doing? Dima, thank you for being on, sweetheart.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Thank you for being brave. You know, as all of you all know, as a wellness coach, I endorse a company called Soul Purpose, and Soul Purpose has a campaign going on right now called Think Pink, Be Brave, and it's for anyone that you know that's gone through heart disease, domestic violence, or breast cancer. And so we gift our guests who share with the Be Brave solid scent pack. So I'm excited to send that to you. So, Dima, please share with us, first of all, your story. You were 12 years old.
Yes.
This was your mother. And just share with us, at 12 years old, to learn of that being of domestic violence and that being your mother, what did that feel like? What did that look like? And what did you do?
Well, I don't know what I did. I don't know how I got through it. I'm being honest with you, it was all God. Because there were many days that I just wanted to end my own life. even into my adulthood because of what happened. I just wanted to say, it was a cycle. I already saw it coming because there was a cycle in my household that started with tension. We were always walking on eggshells around my stepfather, and the household was determined by his mood. If he was happy, the household was happy, so on and so forth. If he was mad, it felt like throwing a plate. I would know to go in my room and stay in my room. And even before they got married, he chased her down the stairs with a butcher knife. So that was just the introduction of what was to come. After the tension, there'll be the incident and then the reconciliation, and there'll be a very short period of calmness. Very short, because then he would find something else to pick at or find something to be upset about. And I remember being a little girl and him being upset with me or jealous of me because I would need attention to go to a hospital for my sickle cell, which to me was very ludicrous. I was a child, and those were red flags that my mother should have taken me to when I was like 6 years old. So it kept happening until I found her. She was missing for 2 days, and I had an incident where I would never go in the basement because I was just scared. There was like bats, incident with bats when I was real young. And my grandmother lived with us, and my stepfather wasn't there anymore. But I had to go. I was the one that had to go downstairs and find her in that state. The first thing that I did, I was very calm. I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit. I don't know what it is. But I first approached my mother in her state. My first reaction was to give her CPR and to tell my grandmother to call the police. I acted as if I was the first respondent, and I was 12 years old, just checking pulses, doing, but I noticed there was something silver sticking out of her chest, and was totally unaware that it was a bullet. I'm thinking that she may have fallen or taken a spill. I had no idea that she was shot 6 times. So that was my experience. That's what I saw. Nobody in my family saw that. It continued to be traumatic because I was one of the people that had to identify her body at the morgue. And still later on, I had to constantly be around that morgue and be around the facility and be around the environment. It just was really traumatic. And that's the only word. Those are the only words I can really describe what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's just traumatic.
Wow, Dima, I am, when you sent me the article, I was numb, and then to hear you say it is just absolutely disheartening. As a 12-year-old child, we all know it, a 12-year-old child, to find your mother in that state, and you said at the age of 6 they were together, so they had been together for some years as a relationship.
Yes. This was the man that taught me how to ride my bike. So I was so conflicted as to what was going on. I was just like, do I forgive him? Do I love him? And when they told me, the thing is, though, when they told me she was shot, I knew automatically that she had something to do with it because nobody hated her. She was a lovable person. Everybody in the community loved her. Very beautiful woman, very open-hearted, very sweet. But I knew it was him. But however, I was still conflicted because he was my only parent, my only father figure as well. So I was just kind of like, all my emotions were all over the place. And then a week later, they found him in the Charles River. He killed himself. So I was like, I don't know how to feel. Like, after that, I'm an orphan now because my biological father had nothing to do with me. I still have never met him. He's in Nigeria now. So it's like my parents are gone. And then I felt guilty for saying my parents because he killed my mom. So it was just just a confusing time, very confusing time.
Wow. And so you went on, you continued through your teenage years, and you grew into a beautiful woman. And I know you're married and have two beautiful boys.
I was in foster home, so I stayed with my aunt for a little while. But after that, I went to foster home until I emancipated myself at the age of 18 and went to college. And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why I'm alive. There's so many times I should have been dead. Not just me trying to take myself out, but the sickle cell trying to take me out. And it was the time I had meningitis, and one of my foster parents refused to take me to the hospital, and I had to be rushed to Boston Medical Center, and I was in the hospital for a month. There's like so many things that I'm like, God, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why.
Amen.
I gotta give him the praise because there's something that he wants me to do that I have not accomplished yet. So I'm just taking it all in stride, and just continue to praise him and wake up every morning continuously praising him for who he is and for being able to give me the strength to even talk about it right now, because I don't like talking about it, and I don't like thinking about it. But I'm 32 now. It's been 20 years, and it's kind of funny. She died in October 4th, and it's Domestic Violence Month. And then a couple of weeks later, I lost my godmother to cancer. October is such a depressing time for me. So this is like the first October I'm kind of liberated from the fear and liberated from not being hurt anymore.
Yes. That's awesome, Dima. Let me tell you something. You are a sister for self-care. I am inducting you into this group. And everybody has a story to tell, and you're telling your story. And people don't recognize that your story matters. Doesn't matter what it is. Your story matters because what you just shared saved a life. Saved probably many lives on this call. And when you emphasize that this was a man who taught you how to ride your bike, you just don't know. And that's why it's so important to know the signs. So what would you say to the ladies and the gentlemen, to the people who are just joining this call and hearing your story? What are some of the things and the advice that you would share? Everything that you've gone through, from being the victim and now the victor, because you have gone through your health, you've gone through foster care, you've lost an aunt, both of your parents, you don't know your biological parent, and you're still here. And yes, we praise God for that, because you have something good to give to the world. That's why you're still here. And you're beautiful, absolutely stunning. And the gorgeous thing about this whole thing is that you're able to share your story. And I hope and pray as a coach that if needed, I can assist you and coach you in any way to continue to share that story so that you can build an empire and continue to live your dreams for you and your family. So what advice is there that you would give to these ladies on the call that may be in a relationship, that may have heard some type of verbal abuse and discounted it, that may have, been chased by their spouse or intimate partner with a balled fist but didn't strike her, that may have dealt with some type of intimidation or stalking or questions like, where were you? You were supposed to call me. How come you weren't at point A when I told you I would be there? Or, foul language towards the woman. All of these things that are, you say, quote-unquote, red flags. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the ladies on the call and our guests?
Recognize the cycle of abuse. Do not be jaded by the moments of calm or the honeymoon phase. Don't get it twisted, because the tension will come back, which will bring about the incident, bring about the occurrence of the incident. One, get out of it, because if you're gone, you don't know what will happen. There's a cause and there's an effect in the world, and because my mother's gone, there's a big hole that cannot be filled. There's a big hole in that. There's a big hole in that community that we lived in, because she was, avid churchgoer and a wonderful community leader. There's a big hole in my church. There's a big hole in my life, in my sister's life. There's a big hole in our not only in our immediate family, but our extended family. And there's a trickle-down effect. Understand that you not being here will cause so much pain for other people, especially your children. Listen to your children. That's another thing I would say. Because I remember when my mother got married. My mother got married when I was 10, and he's in my house, my mother's house, since I was 4. And I remember telling her, Mom, you made a big mistake. I was 10 years old, and I was scared of saying it, but I said it. Listen to your babies. And my son's 11 years old right now, and he has so much discernment in his little 11-year-old mind. And a lot of what he's saying is God. You have to listen to these babies. So those are my takeaways from the whole ordeal. And know that you're worth walking away. You know that you're worth so much more than what he's given to you, or you're beautiful, or you're cute. You're so much more worth than that.
Amen. Well, how are you coping today? What got you from 12-year-old to here, as far as your action steps are concerned? And, why did you decide to become a part of Longevity Soul Purpose?
Well, to answer the first question, it's a process, ongoing journey of healing. And I promise, it's only God that's been carrying me through this. And he knows how much we can bear. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the poem Footprints in the Sand, but there were times where I felt alone. And the whole time, it was him carrying me. And I really cannot answer how I got through it, because it was him carrying me through it. And that's the God's honest truth. I'm not super religious or by any nature. I just have a relationship with him and recognize that it was him that carried me. So that was the first question. Now, the reason why I'm involved in longevity is there's so many reasons. I was approached by a friend who introduced me to the Soul Purpose line. And during that time, I did not have a lot of time for myself. I was kind of like into the whole routine of being a mom and just not taking care of myself and doing things for other people. And the product line kind of forced me to sit down and take care of myself whether it was like putting lotion on my body and like kind of smelling that stuff will just make you have a timeout for a minute and just enjoy the smell of the product. That's no joke. So that's how it got started. Then I realized way later that we were partnered with, the sole purpose was partnered with longevity and had a wellness component. And then I started taking the Tangy Tangerine product. And then I went from going to the hospital, I want to say, once every 4 or 5 months, and like being in pain every day, to not having as much pain and only going to the hospital for an occasional visit to kind of check in and read my levels. And that's been like crazy to me because I'm always in the hospital in ICU, hooked up to IVs, getting a blood transfusion, going through the whole rigmarole of just being sick and like being on death's door. And I haven't experienced that within a year of me taking Tangy Tangerine. Now I have my husband taking it, and I have my kids taking it, and it's just amazing. We're not sick. You know, he had diabetes, and now his levels are low. His levels have dropped dramatically, so now he's like not diabetic. Because we have to go back to the doctor, and he's trying to figure out what are you doing. It's amazing that longevity has done this for our entire family. So I'm taking longevity now and incorporating it with my healing ministry brand, because now I'm actually taking time to actually talk about the story and taking the first few steps of forward movement, as scary as it is. I'm taking the first steps to try to communicate with other women who are hurting, who are going through the depression, the divorce, and the disease, and have a conversation with them to invoke healing. And that product kind of fits into the whole brand, and it evokes, it brings about healing, and it brings about change. So that's kind of my connection to longevity and what I plan to do next.
Awesome, Dima, and you are a true reflection of Sisters for Self-Care and what it stands for. And, many people ask me all the time, why is it that you endorse, the Sole Purpose Longevity brand on your Sisters for Self-Care call? I'm not pushing a sale. It's about healing. And as Dima says, it forces you to take care of yourself. It absolutely does. And that's what we stand for in Sisters for Self-Care, for you to honor your self-worth and value your self-care and take that time for you, whether it's to reflect or for you to envision what God has for you in your future, whether you've gone through a divorce, depression, domestic violence, or some type of disease. And I would have never, ever been given that assignment from God had I not gone through all four. And so I'm just grateful for you being on the call with us this morning. You all can contact Dima. Dima, you want to give your information as far as your social media. I'm not asking for your phone number, but
sure,
at least
definitely.
for social media.
So you can find me on Instagram, Dima Hendricks, or you can look up Healing Ministry, HEELING Ministry, and it kind of is a play on words for high heels. Moving forward movement, sisters healing in high heels. The walk have the power to walk away, so it's kind of like a double meaning. So again, it's Healing Ministry with 2 E's, HEELING, and you can just find me. I'll be there.
That's fabulous, girl. And for those of you who want to join the Sisters for Self-Care Facebook page, it's a closed group, so I will approve you. You guys can go there, put your post. You can talk to Dima, go back and forth. We can have an ongoing trail as far as this is concerned. We're not done with this. I know there's a lot of you on the call who want to say something, but I want to be mindful of time. But I just wanted the Spirit to just lead us through so that she could share, so Dima could share her story. And your story matters. Your story matters. If there's anyone that's new on this call that wants more information about healing ministries or Sisters for Self-Care or how they can create a serenity sanctuary in their home to have healing with nature-based spa quality products and wellness products that will help you with your circumstances as far as your health is concerned, please reach out on social media. Don't forget to text the letter S, the number 4, and the letter S to 55469. To 55469. That will put you in the text message service. In addition to that, get back with the person who invited you to this call and thank them. Say, oh, my gosh, thank you so much. I never knew this group existed. And just tell them that you want to be a part, and they will help you move forward to the next level. And, you guys, we're going to grow this thing. We're going to build this thing, and we're going to help so many other people cope, get through, and dance in their passion. Thank you so much again, Dima, for your story and for sharing with us, and for being brave. That's what it's all about. You guys have a great Wednesday. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments on social media. This call is officially over.
Thank you.